Hey everyone, welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss a new article that suggests we may finally see the return of Stu Macher in Scream 7. Now I have been the conductor of the Stu train for a very long time, and I've been very upfront and transparent about my hopes of seeing Stu finally return to the franchise once more. Now, I said before Scream 6 came out that I wanted to see Stu return no sooner than Scream 7 because it would be a fantastic finish to the Carpenter Sisters trilogy. So the question then remains, is now the time to finally unveil Stu Macher and his involvement in the events of Scream 5 and Scream 6? Well, let's jump into the rabbit hole and this article to see where it leads. Let's go!
It's David Arquette, Dewey from the Scream movies, as you know. Remember, there's only one rule to surviving a horror movie, and that's subscribing to Craven Something Scary.
So StartFacts.com has published the article that I will be discussing in this video, and you can read it in full on their website. Now the headline reads, "Rising from the Dead, Stu Macher haunts Scream 7 with his possible return." And the article goes on to say that we're going to be so mad at Stu if he doesn't come back. And while anticipation is high for Scream 7, fans hope for the return of one of the special OG characters. Now, the character of Stu is initially introduced as a stereotypical goofball and class clown, as you guys remember, in Scream 96, and he was known for his carefree and seemingly harmless demeanor, just a fun guy. However, what sets Stu apart from other ghost faces is his chilling lack of empathy or morality. He was a thrill killer. Don't forget that. He was a thrill killer. He was not a motive-driven killer. Billy was a motive-driven killer. Remember? Obviously, with this situation with his mom and dad, Maureen. Very motive-driven, mission-driven, if you will. However, when it comes to Stu, he was what's classified as a thrill killer. He killed because remember what he said to Sidney? It was fun. Remember? It was fun. He enjoyed it. So he told us what type of killer he is. And that's what his deal was. And some horror villains in movies are driven by tragic past or personal motives, like we saw with Billy. But Stu's actions are fueled by a disturbing desire for chaos and attention. He's a thrill killer. Now, his gleeful participation in the killings and his reckless attitude toward life and death make him a truly disturbing character, and of course, my most favorite Ghostface. I think he's fantastic. Now, Matthew Lillard himself has been an advocate of Stu's comeback from the beginning and suggested that earlier plans, and even laid it out, earlier plans for Scream 3 included Stu Macher returning. He survived. He was coming back to the film, and they were close to getting shooting going, and he actually was paid. In fact, here, I'll let Matthew tell you himself.
Well, I have an incredible piece of trivia, which probably nobody really knows, that Scream 3 was in pre-production, and I had actually been hired to come back in Scream 3 as the killer. And then when Columbine broke out, they scratched the entire script. They scrapped it. because it had something to do with high school and taking over kids and making them do terrible things, and the producers were like, Wes was like, we have to. I mean, Bob was, we can't go this way, and so I actually was paid to be in Scream 3, and never had a chance to fulfill it. But
So a quick shout out to my buddy Nate Reagan over at Reagan Productions for this amazing clip of Matthew Lillard. Thank you for that, Nate. It's fantastic. Now, here we go. So we know this. We know that Stu Macher is alive because he was going to return in Scream 3. That means Wes Craven himself had him coming back, meaning he survived the events of Scream 96. You can't bring a character back if they didn't survive. And so the very fact that he survived in Scream 1 to come back in 3, and they had to scrap it, as we heard from Matthew. So that, that doesn't change the fact that Stu is still alive. He just hasn't come back. So there you go. So Stu's been alive this entire time, faking his death, which is why no one talks about him. No one thinks he's a suspect in these movies because they don't have a reason to. They think he is dead. He's not even alive. Therefore, there you go. That explains throughout the sequels why they're not talking about Stu in prison, why they're not talking about, Stu being a suspect. Could he be back? Of course not, because they think he's dead. It makes perfect sense. So, with all that in mind, the stage is set, and the clues in Scream 5 and 6 are there. I've done a lot of videos here on the channel. You can look them up. Just search for Stu's clues. You'll find them in 5, clues in 6. And I've talked about them on live streams. The clues are there. Breadcrumbs have been left for both of these movies pointing to Stu. And if you're a fan of the cult idea, which I personally am, the entire opening of Scream 6 gives us confirmation, if you really think about it, of the cult idea. Jason and Greg, completely separate from the Baileys. They had nothing to do with their motives. They were trying to finish what Richie started in Amber, Richie's movie. So here you go. I mean, this dreaded thread that started in 5, we got that in 6, that it's still out there. It's still a thing. Here's Jason and Greg in New York that are responding to that same thread. They're on this, it's all part of the connectivity of the Ghostface cult in the dreaded thread, which I believe the thread was started by Stu Macher. So lots more I could say about that. And believe me, I'm going to be having very soon some more Stu Macher exclusive content, probably even a live stream. But for now, I'll keep it at that. So that's where we're at. There's Stu Macher alive. The clues are in 5. The clues are in 6. Now, the article concludes by saying, considering the clues and subtle hints given by Scream 6 that play with the idea of Stu's survival, it's plausible that Stu can make a comeback in the new Scream installment. Additionally, Matthew Lillard has expressed openness to returning if the opportunity arises. And as we all know, in the movie world of slashers, guys, if you've been a slasher fan for any period of time, villains' death and the antagonists that appear to die are not always considered their final. And remember, one of the rules that Randy gave in Scream 3 of a trilogy is that there's always going to be something that you thought from the beginning that was true that's not. Something's going to reveal itself as not being exactly what you thought it was. It all plays perfectly into the scenario of Stu Macher's return. So Scream 7, is that the movie it happens? I hope so. I really do. I hope it's 7. Now, if he doesn't come back in 7, does that mean he's never coming back? No, of course not. We're dealing with a new director now, and we don't know how that's going to affect the script, if at all, but it could. And so there's all kinds of things and factors that are in play. But me personally, based on what we saw in 5 and 6, I'm rooting for Stu to be back in 7 finally. We finally get that reveal one more time of Stu Macher. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to leave it there for now. But here's the thing. I want to know what each of you think about the possibility that Stu Macher could return in Scream 7. I would love it if you would leave your thoughts, your ideas, and even any of your theories in the comments section below. Start typing right now as I finish this video, because I would like to discuss it together and read your ideas. Well, that's going to be all for this update, guys, but I'll be back soon with more Scream and other horror movie content as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, though, this is Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thank you for watching.